Good morning to everybody. I want to welcome all of our attendees, including our first timers, returning members. I want to recognize our PBNSG team, Paul Chatlin, founder of PBNSG and the face of an amazing inspirational story of going from nearly dying to strong, vibrant, and healthy through a plant-based lifestyle. I want to recognize Marion Treese, Director of Operations, Brett Nyquist, Director of Technology, Megan Burt, Director of Support Groups. We have an amazing team of specialized hosts who each lead their own monthly support group through our membership platform. I actually lead the heart disease support group the second Monday of every month. Our next meeting will be October 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern. And our special guest will be Debbie Adler. So join us for that if you're a member. And as Paul Chatlin likes to say, we are together as one, and we have the same passion for helping others find success in this plant-based lifestyle. If you're just joining us, come on in. I'm just giving our PBNSG spiel. My name is Lauren Bernick of Well Elephant. I named my company Well Elephant because elephants are strong, beautiful herbivores supported by their community, and you are too. And I am a volunteer with PBNSG. I was diagnosed with serious heart disease 7 years ago. The cardiologist had nothing to offer me except pills and a paleo diet. And I just knew in my heart that wasn't right. I wanted to reverse my disease, but he said, the cardiologist said that couldn't be done. Well, spoiler alert, I found the Esselstyns, as so many of us have. And guess what? I have reversed it. I recently had some extensive testing, the Cleveland Heart Lab and other tests that show I have no sign of heart disease. I've changed the size and shape of my blood platelets, and have no inflammation in my body. I've lost 20 pounds. I've dropped my blood pressure. And now I teach others how to live this lifestyle without feeling deprived. I mostly focus on how to teach people how to eat on the go, because it's kind of okay when you're at home to eat this way, but it sort of sends you into a panic when you leave the house. So how to go to a wedding, how to go to your book club, how to go to a friend's house, how to travel. And you can go to my website, wellelephant.com it's actually having some problems today. Of course, it's freaking out a little bit, but hopefully you can download my freebies. If not, go tomorrow or forget about it. And I'll send you tips and tricks if you sign up for my email list and some recipes. But for those of you who are new to our events, PBNSG stands for Plant-Based Nutrition Support Group. We are a nonprofit organization dedicated to evidence-based education and advocacy of a plant-based whole foods nutrition to help individuals prevent or reverse chronic disease and achieve optimal health. PBNSG is now well into our new platform, which gives us access to live virtual events like this, cooking demos, support group meetings, event recordings, and more. If you're not already a member, if you came into this free event today and you'd like to join PBNSG, we're having a special, we're offering memberships at a 30% discount through the end of December. That would be $14 a month instead of $20 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Just go to pbnsg.org for codes and information. We recently began a new service. We are now offering perfectly plant-based nutrition coaching for individuals who would like more support in this lifestyle. So go to PBNSG for all that information. We have free monthly virtual meetings the second Thursday of every month. And we're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Amen. We are finished with all that good information. So now I want to introduce the reason that you are here. Two beautiful, fabulous women, New York Times best-selling authors, Ann Esselstyn and Jane Esselstyn. Ann Kreil Esselstyn has been called the Julia Child of plant-based cooking. She was an award-winning English teacher for 27 years, all while juggling raising 4 children, coaching, and figuring out how to cook delicious and appealing plant-based, oil-free foods pre-internet. Anne's singular focus is on creating recipes to prevent and reverse heart disease. She collaborates with her husband, Dr. Caldwell B. Esselstyn Jr., in counseling patients. Anne and her daughter Jane also feature heart-healthy recipes on their YouTube channel. Anne graduated from Smith College and received a master's in education from Wheelock College. She lives in Cleveland, Ohio, next door to Jane. And Jane Esselstyn, RN, is a fresh, charismatic voice in the plant-based movement. She brings her passion, energy, and can-do attitude to her presentations, cooking demonstrations, and cookbooks, as well as being a nurse, researcher, middle school sex ed teacher, and mother of 3. Jane hosts a popular YouTube channel with her Spitfire mother, Anne Kryle Esselstyn. Jane created the recipes in the #1 New York Times bestseller, Plant Strong, and the Engine 2 7-Day Rescue Diet. She is co-author of the Engine 2 7-Day Rescue Diet with her brother, Rip Esselstyn, and of the Prevent and Reverse Heart Disease cookbook with Anne, who is her next door neighbor in Cleveland, Ohio. And now, of course, they have this beautiful new book, Be a Plant-Based Woman Warrior. You have it too. Hold it up. Say it.
Be a plant-based woman warrior. Live fierce, stay bold, eat delicious.
Exactly. And here are our New York Times bestselling guests, Jane and Anne. So thank you so much for being here and for creating this gorgeous cookbook. I just love it.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you. What was the impetus for creating this book?
Well, as you read in that list that gets sort of tongue twisty, we for the last decade plus have been writing cookbooks. I mean, my mom's done 3, I've done 5, and we've done some together. And it's been through the lens of heart disease and, thinking about heart disease patients, or in my part, I've been thinking about like being like a firefighter, trying to have a firefighter voice behind the recipes, because I've done all of Rip's recipes in his books. So this, finally, we were like, forget it. We're going to do what we do. And I really want to do a book with my mom, because we're the ones who do most of the cooking. And this is such a tip of the hat to my mom, because as you read, she picked up this theory my father came home with, like, let's go plant-based and help these breast cancer patients and heart disease patients. And she, without, oh, I see somebody else and not you, Lauren.
Yeah, can everybody mute themselves so that...
Anyway, so my mom somehow picked up this theory in the early 80s of, no meat, no dairy, no oil, no this. And as you said, there was no internet, and there were no, especially in Cleveland, Ohio, there were no Whole Foods markets or health food stores or any of those things. So she really did run with this in an impressive way. And because she had the creativity and the can-do attitude about it, she's carried it forward for decade after decade after decade. So the impetus, it was a tip of the hat to my mom. And I know I'm speaking a lot right now, but another impetus was that the majority, not everybody, certainly not every household, but the majority of humans on the earth who think about food, do the mental labor of food, create food, prepare food, serve food, are women. And we're so, and especially in the USA, we have so much lifestyle related disease going on. And so much that, as you said in your own story, so much of that happens to be the darn collision of like a proclivity or a predisposition to creating that disease and the right lifestyle, eating habits to create that disease. And women, being the majority here, have kind of created some of those diseases unwillingly, and out of love. And so I feel like we can be bold and fierce and make delicious food that's going to steer our health outcomes in another direction, in a healthy direction, with, just more plants, more grains, more greens, more beans, more berries. And I love it. Some friends of ours in Ireland, the happy pair, they say, eat more veg. And I love it. That's kind of our message, but no one knows what veg means in the USA. So we really do sort of mean that. And I have a third reason why, but I want my mom to speak a little bit.
No, speak.
No, I haven't stopped talking.
Okay, keep talking. Okay.
And the third reason why this really, for women, and like my pitch to the publisher and like why we need to do this, was also because I have 3 brothers, And we all we were crazy fit kids growing up. We all swam for our universities. I swam for University of Michigan on scholarship back in the 80s. And when I was there at Michigan, I was just training, swimmers trained so many hours a day, morning, afternoon, evening, blah, and you barely have time to get anything done. But anyway, as I was at Michigan, I was feeling definitely like, what's happening with my body? Like, I'm filling out, I'm getting curves. And I wake up and I think about it, and I've got to train. We got NCAA's coming up, but what do I eat? What's going on with me, kind of thing. And it's sort of it's not unique to women, but I know like a majority of women in America, sorry, loud truck passing by us. Sorry if you hear that. But a majority of women in America, I know, do think this way and feel this way because there's so much focus on our bodies and being objects and whatever. But I know that my brothers hadn't thought for 1 minute about what they were eating and how what they were eating was going to affect what they were doing and how they could perform in, swimming. So crazily, right at this moment, boom, my parents called and say, hey, we're no longer eating meat or dairy or oil. So they went plant-based right then and there. And I was like, okay. And somehow at Michigan, eating out of the dorm, I kind of got on in the hang of it. And I would still come home in the summers and I would train and eat with them. And so it kind of became a thing. And I've lost that food head. I've lost that concern, that burden of, what am I going to eat so my body feels like me and can do what I want it to do and is sort of, I'm comfortable in the skin I'm in. So I am so, as I said in the book, I'm so wickedly lucky that plant-based eating landed in my life when it did. All right, I've talked way too much.
Well, one of the things that I sort of going back to something you had said earlier, one of the things that I think is fabulous about this book, and it was our editors, not us, that did it, and that is that because I come from this more, from my husband's point of view, directly with heart disease patients. Call Plant Perfect, nothing is perfect, and Rip had dubbed his book Plant Strong, and so that
the difference being
and the difference being only for the Plant Perfect heart disease patients who were really on a tight rope. There's no meat, no oil, no dairy, and then for them, no nuts, no avocado, no coconut type things, and it's just a tighter rope program. But what I like is what our editors did is on each recipe, it will say heart disease friendly, or it will give you ideas of what to do to make it heart disease friendly. So both ideas are here in this book, adaptable to people reading.
So each recipe indicates whether it is or isn't. And if it has nothing on it, it means it's not. Like if it's some sort of,
there's
some
lots.
like
walnut dressing.
Or actually you could use cannellini beans, but if it's not, one recipe is called Lucky Nuts. And it's just these nuts that are so spicy and yummy. There's no substitute. Just if you have heart disease, don't go with the Lucky Nuts.
And if you're like me and you love nuts, you'd eat the whole thing. So don't even start.
She's like a wood chipper.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you. And we're so glad that you created the book. And I love that it has all these stories about women for other women. That was beautiful. I love all the quotes from your children and grandchildren. That was beautiful. There's so many. I feel like this book has so much heart. Actually, when I reviewed it on Amazon, and I said, just don't be stupid like me. Go ahead and buy a bunch at the beginning instead of keep going back and buying more, because you're like, oh, I need to send this to this friend, and I need to see. You're going to send it to all the women you love in your life. And
nice of you.
That's nice.
No, and I mean that. I don't review things, but I just really felt that, because I have gone back and ordered more, because the more I read into it, it's not just recipes. It's just really filled with so much heart, and it really you do feel that you're trying to empower women. It does come through. And I know, Jane, are you still a sex ed teacher?
You know what? My mom wants to read something about because she was so proud
No,
of the
well, no,
section that she
I
got.
got the job. I got the
Oh.
job of interviewing our grandchildren. First off, I want you to get back to the sex ed. So I'm just a
I
little
will.
detour.
I knew this was going to be
We have
not a straight line.
four children, and they are all plant-based, all four, and all their partners, spouses are plant-based, and our 10 grandchildren are plant-based.
Amazing.
So I got the job to interview all the 10 grandchildren to ask them what they felt about being plant-based. Now, our grandchildren are aged at the time 7 to 27. And I love I won't even read all of them, but I'd love to read a little variety of what they
Yes,
said. And
please.
that is Georgie, aged 8. Without being plant-based, I can't imagine how I'd live. I'd open the refrigerator and see things like chicken wrapped in plastic and feel like, what happened? And then Sophie, aged 11. Whenever I eat good food, I feel good. And whenever I eat unhealthy food, something in my stomach just feels wrong. I'm lucky because it's been easy for me since I've been plant strong my whole life. Being plant-based doesn't mean just eating salads all the time. It means so many fun, unique things, like a kale cake with raspberry frosting, not just vanilla frosting with pink dye in it, but lemons and raspberries. And it's just really fun and tasty. And then our oldest grandchild, Flynn, said, plant-based she's 27. Plant-based is the definition of our family. It has brought us together to be creative and show our skills in different areas. It's our thing, and the one common thing we all branch off from, and it makes us connect. And Hope,
Lastly,
age 7. No, I have one more after that. Hope, age 7, said, if you eat meat, you die. But as a segue into your last question about, I wanted to read something that Rose, age 22, said. Plant-based makes me feel free and has saved me from the emotionally turbulent diet of restriction so many friends in their 20s are caught in. And that is kind of where
what I was talking about. Yeah.
That's amazing. It's hysterical. I love them. I love hearing from the kids.
She would have read all 10 of them. She could have.
She can.
Jane was poking me that it
No,
was
I'm like,
time to stop.
It's
This book is all Jane.
no, it's
Yeah,
not. I would.
it's
There would
all
be no book to write. This is a tip of the
All
hat
right,
to you.
all
There
right.
would be no book to have written had not been you, Mom. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I want to get back to Jane in a second about the sex ed, but Anne, I mean, when you started, like you said, this was what, in the 1982?
It was a little 83 or 4.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
around then, my husband started thinking about it. And the crazy thing to me is that he had this idea. He was a general surgeon. He decided that he'd been operating on women's breasts, and there was no end to them coming in with the same problem. And so he saw that in Japan, women who
They just had
didn't have
breast cancer.
breast cancer, when they came to the United States, and over a generation or so, they had the same amount of breast cancer as women in America.
Same disease rate.
So he decided that it would be forever before he could prove that. But he started with heart. He thought he would try heart disease. So he took patients who were on death's door. He started with 12. And this was in about 1984. And it went on for 12 years. And during that period of time, one of his patients came in one day and said, Dr. Esselstyn, I just saw an article in Discovery magazine that there is a doctor doing the exact same thing as you in California. And that turned out to be Dean Ornish, had started his program even a little earlier and had published a little sooner, but here they were across the country
Mhm.
coming up with the same basic idea. I mean, it's just astounding that to me that it happened like that. And so then, you know, I just had to start because we had no health food stores. The McDougalls were on the West Coast who were sort of doing this, but that was far away. Nobody in Cleveland ate like this. I taught 6th grade at that time, and 2 of our vocab words were vegan and vegetarian because that's how common those words were. And we had been to Puerto Rico. We had loved rice and beans. My husband was speaking there and I had gone with him. So when we came back, that's sort of where we started from with rice and beans. And guess what? That is still our favorite meal.
That's what I was going to ask you. Like, where did you start? How did you know? And so you started with rice and beans.
And our favorite holiday meal, like at Christmas time with all of us, is
rice and beans.
I love it too.
Pile on.
We have so many more exciting fixins and toppings and things. So that's why we continue with it.
Yeah.
But gallo pinto, the Costa Rican, like black beans and rice just stirred together. Awesome.
It is awesome. What is something that we all eat today or we all do today that you started that maybe you don't get credit for, Ann?
No, nothing. Mother Nature started it all. Come on, don't try to throw us under some spotlight. No.
You guys are very modest, but okay.
We did not invent anything. I mean, oatmeal's been around as long as Scotland's been making it and Ireland's been eating it. I mean, it's the whole world eats oats. And the whole world eats grain.
But you brought it to our attention, maybe. So
but people brought it to our attention too. I mean, my mom started making some savory oats that we all made so much fun of, but one of the heart disease patients was eating this savory oat stuff, and she just kept trying different kinds of oatmeals and this and that, and now she's just nailed it, one that she loves and has every day. And I'm so sort of humble to say, like, after making years of fun of her witch's brew, I now also am, bubble, toil and trouble, making my own in the mornings.
That's awesome. That's good. Okay, well, let's get back to you. Are you still a sex ed teacher, Jane?
I do teach a little bit of sex ed these days, not as much as I did for, I think it's been since 1990, 30 plus years, doing much less of it. But I love it. I don't want to ever give it up. So yes, I am.
Oh, that's good. Well, and you cover a little bit about that in the book, how plants powerfully support women. Can you talk a little bit about that? And
this is where Jane sparkles.
She does. I love hearing Jane talk about our cuvas.
No, well, I love, yes, cuva. I love the 2 realms in which I work, which are food and sex. So, I mean, I feel like I have the best life, and then I get to talk about these things that people love to hear about, but people also don't like to hear about. Like, don't boss me around or make me feel inadequate or I'm doing the wrong thing. So I don't mean to come from that angle at all. I want to support people to finding a really healthy path forward with their food and a really healthy, positive, pleasurable path forward with their bodies and how what it can do. Anyway, the chapter that we have in the book about how plants powerfully support women, we discuss a little bit below belt and a little bit below the belt. And above the belt, I really want to just tip everyone to Dr. Christy Funk and her work, her research. She's got a wonderful book. I'm sure you've featured it, Breasts, the Owner's Manual. She has the first 100 pages about what to eat and what not to eat. And it really is eat a plant-based diet and don't go with meat, dairy, eggs, oil, So it's wonderful. She talks about how soy, it's really an old way of thinking that soy is not helpful and not beneficial to our breasts. It actually, soy products are not like soy. When I say soy, I mean tofu, edamame, tempeh, tofu, soy milk, soy sauce, not the soy powder or soy protein, sprinkle, or the very processed version thereof, but the ancient forms of soy that have been around for a millennia. Anyway, so above the belt and then below the belt. Can I go below the belt with you guys? Is that all right?
Do it.
Okay. I think some people have already heard me discuss this a little bit, but I'm going to go a deeper dive into the kuva. And the kuva is a woman's body down below the belt, because speaking to middle school kids about below the belt with men, everyone understands the penis and testicles. Oh yeah, the bat and balls, we know all about it. We know where those twigs and berries are. Got it. Ha 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 ha, laugh. Females, when I start to talk about the female anatomy, everyone is quiet. The boys, the girls, everybody. And looking at like the front view of female reproductive anatomy, it looks like some sort of, semi-symmetrical flower or something, or weird weightlifting contest for an insect with the ovaries and the fallopian tubes and the uterus and whatnot. And girls don't really know where it is. Like they don't know where to find it in their body. So I've learned that you have to turn the body sideways and in cross section. And the best way to discuss it from front to back or back to front. So I think with you guys, I'm going to talk about kuva, just like that. In front, women have, sorry, I'll start with the back. In the back, everybody has an A. An anus, you need to have an anus. And then I'll start with that. So anus, let's talk about how plant-based eating can powerfully support that. So plant-based eating, if we venture on up the colon into the, up into the colon and all the intestines, that's where the microbiome lives. And the microbiome thrives on fiber, thrives on it. That's how it makes its short-chain fatty acids, which help your immune system just do its best job. The fiber that comes from Metamucil and stuff like that is not what it's looking for. It's looking for a variety of fiber. Dr. B says at least 30 different plants a week. We try to go for 100 different plants a week. And that's spices, seeds, everything, just 100 different bits of fiber. And fiber only comes from plants. Animals have bones, plants have fiber. That's the only place you get it. Microbiome loves this. Coming on down a little bit into your intestines. If you've heard of diverticulitis or constipation, they should be spoken, I think, like brushing and flossing, because diverticulitis and constipation come from the same issue. You're not eating enough fiber. Where's fiber found?
Plants.
Plants, exactly. Thank you this is my middle school classroom, sorry.
I have everybody on mute, so
No, that's good. That comes from plants. So constipation, just, you don't have enough fiber to have things go flowing through. Same with diverticulitis. You've just pushed too much, and you're pushed the pressure so hard, your colon is doing this outpouching. And people say, oh, I can't eat corn and seeds because it gets in there and that's the problem. I'm like, well, you didn't eat enough corn and seeds. That's why you got into this problem. And then coming down all the way through the rectum to the anus, the A here, is you will hopefully not have to deal with your hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids are like just a great bunch, a bunch of grapes, of veins just from that have been pushed out. So it helps reduce that pressure and have them not be pouching out. So microbiome, diverticulitis, constipation, hemorrhoids, woo! Avoid those things. Here, the next hole in front of this hole is another hole, starts with a V. This is the vagina, the vaginal opening. And it's a lobby. It's a space. It's just a little just a space. And above it is
Tell what the boys say.
I know. Well, the seventh grade boys love hearing that it's a lobby. They're like, "Ooh, I'll be the bellhop. I'll meet you in the lobby." They love that one. But anyway, the above the vagina is the cervix and the endometrial space, which is the lining of the uterus and the ovaries, and all these things just thrive on your own personal hormones and not the hormones found in eggs or the hormones found in dairy or the hormones found in meat. They want your hormones, just the ones that you make and from your own body, your own liver, which makes the cholesterol that you need to make your own hormones. So they thrive on that, especially the innermost lining of the uterus, the endometrium. It can sometimes make fibroids, and fibroids are just big, like stalactites that grow in a cave. But these stalactites of tissue are called fibroids, and they tend to drip blood. And some women, the fibroids get so big and so drippy with blood, they're getting anemic. Anemic means lack of blood. So the doctors have pitched for years to just remove your uterus if that's the problem, instead of removing dairy from your diet. So we have a friend who shared her story in the book, and I wanted her, so she went from not having to have a hysterectomy because she got pregnant when she went on a plant-based diet because her father had heart disease. Anyway, I wanted her to call her child Fib for not just fibroid, but also the fibs that she's being told by medicine that's not looking at how to prevent or reverse this. So there's numerous benefits, and your ovaries, everyone loves it. Everyone's thankful for it. you is the urethra, and the urethra is where you pee from. And above that, obviously, is the bladder and the kidneys. Your kidneys really thrive on not having a lot of protein. You ask any healthcare worker, if you don't believe this, but your body does not want as much protein as it's usually getting. Protein burdens the kidneys because you can't store your protein in your body, so it's overburdens, and it's exhausting. And I mean, I'm talking plant-based protein or animal-based protein. Don't need much of it at all. And below that, the ureters and the bladder really appreciate you steering clear of animal protein, especially chicken, because chicken tends to host this bacteria that seems to be resistant to antibiotics. So you can get this UTI, urinary tract infection, from chicken that sticks with you. And this bacteria is so adhesive. It even when you clean your sink, or you clean your counters, or you clean your hands, your knife, the bacteria is still on it. So I keep thinking, like, oh my gosh, if someone who's plant-based is even muckling around, smooching with somebody, and their partner, he, she, them, has been eating chicken, oh my gosh, maybe we're going to get it from them too. So I want no one to be eating this chicken with this bacteria. And then finally, here's the C, and the boys are like, oh my God, there's so many holes. There's so many holes. She has so many holes. But no, and they think they have a lot of holes. I'm like, you guys, you have one hole, and you know that. But this is well, they have an anus, but yeah, in the front. But this C stands for the clitoris, or clit, whatever you personally call it. And this is a bundle of nerves, just like it is the exact same tissue at the head of the penis, the glands, the glans, and it has the capacity to engorge a little bit with the endometrial lining of our vessels. It's same; those little tiny capillaries are in the glands and the clitoris, and they expand when they are stimulated to do so. And everyone's like, well, what do you mean we have the same tissue as the penis? Well, men have nipples, we have nipples. We're all made of the same Legos. I'm going to go into a little bit deeper here. So men have a shaft in their penis of all this tissue called corpus cavernosa. Females, we have that same tissue, and it lines our pelvic floor. And as we get stimulated, the tissue engorges along our pelvic floor, and it's like two bunny ears that wrap up. They go left and right from the clitoris, and they go up and around. Bless you. They go up and around the vaginal space, engorged with blood. And that blood, just like in the shaft of the penis, when it's engorged with blood, this blood wraps around the vaginal space, and that's what helps create lubrication. It's the plasma from the blood flow in those tiny capillary spaces that allows the blood to pass that plasma through and mix with some female chemicals. Lubrication. Her sign for readiness is lubrication. His sign for readiness is an erection. Both of those mechanisms are based on blood flow, healthy blood flow that can get where it needs to go in these tiny little spaces that depend on the arteries having that endometrial lining healthy and releasing nitric oxide that comes from eating greens.
Vegetables.
Fiber. Kuva. And you can get your Kuva t-shirts, by the way, if you want to get a Kuva t-shirt yourself.
Yes, that was a question.
JaneEsselstyn.com.
Jane, okay, that was a question. JaneEsselstyn.com.
In my store.
I just took that shirt out of the laundry.
It's my dad's shirt, and it smells like him. But he was wearing it the other morning. I was chatting with him, and I was like, "Can I get a picture of you wearing this?" Because it matches his blue eyes. He was looking so beautiful, and I was like, "He looks pretty amazing."
That's awesome. That is such good information. And I don't think, I didn't know till probably 10 years ago that men and women in utero start off with all the same things. And then we veer off one way with a clitoris, and that turns into a penis. Like, I didn't realize that was all the same stuff. It makes sense. I probably should have known that. I probably didn't have as good a sex ed teacher as you, but yeah, so I love it. It just kind of helps you understand, all that. And I love how, it makes us healthier. Eating plants, it powers everything in us. Thank you for sharing that. I want to ask a different question. Anne, I hope you don't mind this question. And you don't have to say your age, but I want to know, what is it like to be your age? Because I saw a video of you.
She's ageless. It's ageless.
I'm 87.
Oh my God. I saw that video of you dragging that tire up a hill. I was like, I don't think I could do that now.
Yeah.
But I mean, for me at 54, I feel like exactly the same as I did when I was 30, a little wiser and a lot more reading glasses. But what am I going to feel like in 30 years? Will I still feel exactly the same? What?
I feel just the same. I just, wrinkles. What else?
I don't know. I mean,
Lots of
no,
wrinkles.
the first line of my book is my mom is my daily dose of hell yeah. Like
Yes.
this is what I want to do. Like
You
no
are.
medication.
I can't jump the way I used to jump. I would love to jump, but I don't do so well jump. I mean, I can jump, but I don't.
bet.
I don't want to jump and twist a knee or hit. Like I get you. Like,
Well, no, I'm just.
I'm imagining you jumping off the roof like you used to. We have a short roof.
No,
Oh my God, you jumped off the roof?
I don't.
Jane.
We all used to.
Well, you did. I never did.
No, but I know. But the whole point is that there's an agelessness. It's just agelessness. Like it's not healthy to compare anyone's age necessarily, because we all do have different biographies and biologies. And to be fair, I mean, people have been through different stuff. But my mom, I like how she's sort of made of rubber.
Well, I'm not. And in fact, last winter in February, I was cross-country skiing, putting my skis on. And I thought I had them on, and I didn't. And I fell, and I hit a pole, and I got a tore rotator cuff, which is still bothering me. And that is a pain. I mean, that has been a real.
You're just, yeah, you're so beautiful and such an inspiration. I feel like everybody really feels that way. So thank you for sharing that. How did you meet Dr. Esselstyn? Where?
Our fathers had known each other because they both went to Yale. And my father was a freshman, and he played freshman football. And my husband's father had graduated from Yale and was in Yale medical school. And you know what? The crazy thing is, his cadaver partner in medical school was Benjamin Spock. Dr. Spock. But what happened is that my husband's father was coaching freshman football sort of on the side, and they met then, and they both were in medicine. And so when my husband came to Cleveland to go to medical school, to Western Reserve Medical School, which is now called Case Western Reserve, he looked us up, and that's when we met.
Wow.
We lost you. We see Amy Rowley now. Amy, if you could.
I know. Can everybody mute themselves except for Jane and Ann, please? Because we have it. If you're on speaker view and you cough or something, then we'll see you. That's good. I love that story. I always love to hear how people met. And I love to watch when people tell the story of their face. They kind of light up just like you did. I love that. It's beautiful. So you mentioned that all of your kids and all of your partners are all plant-based. Did they come to you that way, or did they kind of just get on board? And, or, for like you, Jane, did you meet Brian? Was Brian plant-based, or were all the
all of my brothers and all their spouses are plant-based, and Brian, like I think everyone was darn close to it if they weren't totally there. I mean, even Brian, I think when I first met him, he was vegetarian, so he had a little bit of cheese here and there. And this is 5+ years ago, but he has gotten totally off dairy. It was like he would have it in his coffee. He would hang on a little dairy in his coffee for a while. He's hanging on, like, I'm not going to fall into this plant-based cult of your family. And then he's like, oh, okay, I'm there.
Now I can remember one time going. I went to the grocery store,
and she was
getting, and I had instructions to get what was it? Something that Brian wanted in his coffee, and I was just,
she was so horrified. She hid it in her purse.
Put it in my purse.
Like
I took it out at the last minute to pay for it, but I hid it in my purse.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm going to open up the floor. If you guys want to post some questions in the chat, please don't ask Jane and Ann any medical questions. Just ask them, cooking and recipes and things like that. So feel free to post some questions in the chat and I'll ask them. In the meantime, what are you guys more, you can each answer this. What, oh, this is a question that I was just going to ask you. It came across. What is your favorite savory? I was going to ask you, are you guys sweet or savory? And if, what's your favorite sweet or savory?
Well, Jane, start with when we knew we were on the right path.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I think this actually answers the question. When we got our contract for to make this book, it was the week before COVID hit. So we were sort of, it was hard to get going on the book because we didn't know if you could go to the grocery store and everything. But like, as we were making our way into figuring out recipes and testing and trying and retesting and retrying and testing on each other and all this stuff, after about a year and a half, I was like, okay, let's count. Let's see what we have here. Let's see what we have here. And we, when you have a good one, you're like, okay, this is a good one. So we had 7 breakfasts, 8 desserts, 7 breakfasts, 8 lunches, 9 dinners, and we had 44 desserts.
Okay, well, that is
half into it. So I guess you could say that majority of those were mine because my mom had all these like great fruit-based desserts and things, and I had just every yummy.
But the exciting thing about that time is that I don't bake anymore, really, because my husband and I would just split it, and it's just so I don't. But we were watching more TV during those COVID times, so we would be sitting right where we are now watching TV, and I'd hear the door open at night, and I would begin to salivate because I would know that it was Jane with another version of her brownies, and she was experimenting on, and she made
out of sight brownie. They had like 12 weeks in a row. They had to keep testing it, and
so that was kind of that was fun.
So I'd say we are a little more sweet, but the savory things that we love. It's a great question. We love, like my mom, your breakfast every morning.
Oh, I mean, I am more savory than sweet, I think, in this point in time. But my breakfast I love. And what is it called, Jane?
Ann's Warrior Oats.
And so I hope everybody out there at least gives it a shot, because it has everything in it that I want to eat in a day. I want to make sure that I have eaten in a day. It has steel cut oats. It has turmeric. It has
kale, nutritional yeast,
and
flax,
shiitake mushrooms, and it's delicious. Did I say? I said kale.
Okay,
kale.
Or any greens. I mean, I'll tell you, I have put every green you've ever seen in it. I've tried carrot tops, radish tops.
An unknown weed from the garden when she couldn't find anything else green one day. She's like, I don't know what I'm eating, but I'm going to try it.
I mean, all the greens are fine in it.
That's great.
And it's interesting. Broccoli plants have lots of greens.
They're like collards. They're thick, yeah.
So so Ann's Warrior Oats for the favorite savory, and your
old dessert section.
Yeah.
No, I love her. I love her Warrior Oats as well, and I make them with a twist. I add to it
ginger,
peas, ginger, garam masala, cumin, coriander, and pickled ginger and black pepper.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, people will be like, what are you doing? Like,
you're ruining my savory oats.
No, I'm loving it. But I had how I love it. But if you don't want to try this for breakfast because you're like, what are you doing? Try it for dinner, because we categorize things. And what I have, this is why I'm hesitating with savory and sweet, is that I like dinner at breakfast. I like leftovers. I like a salad that's like kind of collapsed and overly wilted and just yummy. And I love a little bit of leftovers from the night before. Like, I don't want to start the morning with sweet, good morning, happy birthday.
I just totally disagree.
You have savory in the morning, though.
Yeah. I mean, I think you need to have oats to start your day.
Oh, I agree with her, actually.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay. What's your favorite meal, quick meal when you're hangry?
You can take peas, frozen peas, thaw them underwater. That's one place to start. I mean, I'm just saying, if you have no food, you,
I think they just need something quick.
Eat an apple, eat a banana, just eat something to stop the hangry. Like don't go for like peel a banana versus opening a Luna bar. Like
Yeah.
just peeling the Mother Nature individually packaged and wrapped so many things for us. Peaches, plums, apples, pears, bananas, grapes. Eat something, eat some
Actually,
fruit or a vegetable if you can.
something
Something with hummus.
I really like a lot is and I keep it in the freezer, is frozen blueberries, frozen big sweet cherries, and a combination of both of those with some just old-fashioned oats, just a little, and just zap that in the microwave. That's it. Those three things are delicious, and they are, I mean, if you know, I like that.
Well, I think they had said a meal, and that's a good breakfasty meal, I suppose.
Well, no, but
I
that's
think,
also an afternoon when you're starving.
yeah, and I would, because we're so lucky to like write cookbooks, I often don't find myself starving and hangry. I mean, sometimes, but it's not like, and and sometimes I tell people, especially if they're heart disease patients or something, and they're like, I came home and there was nothing to eat, and I'm like, okay, I almost feel like I'm talking to my middle school kids. By now, because you're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, you need to know that every day you're going to have to feed yourself. And every day you're going to be hungry periodically. So every day this is going to happen. So if you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail, just to use a phrase from Vince Lombardi or somebody, is just, we always have at our house cooked rice. It's in a Tupperware. It's cold. Smell. It's still good. I don't know. You know, we have it going on the rice cooker. We've got polenta that we made from 2 nights ago. We've always got something that I wouldn't call it batch cooked, but we purposely overcooked the amount of food for dinner so that we have leftovers, mostly for my breakfast the next day, but also to have around. So I will oftentimes eat a little bit of dinner from the night before. It's just because it's always some big mishmash of stuff while I'm cooking something else.
So one of the interesting things, so Jane, will you talk about sauces, please, and how that.
Oh, we love sauces. I mean, someone interviewing us recently said, "What's your favorite food as a vegan?" She's like, "But you can't say the answer everyone knows, which is the favorite food of all vegans is sauce." And I was like, that is our favorite food.
Yeah,
is having any kind of sauce makes anything edible. Sauces, salsas, hummuses, spreads, guacamoles, just for no heart disease people. But we have a huge sauce section, and an editor, she was so funny. They were like, you guys name your sauce section your secret weapons, and you can't make it without them. And every lunch, every dinner, all these things, you use some, again, sauce, salsa, hummus, spread in some capacity. She's like, so I really want to put this as your first section. And I was like, my mom will never go for it. Breakfast has to be first. All those oats need to go first. Then the next section can be sauces. So our cookbook's a little odd in that way, because it's like breakfast sauce.
I love that, because I mean, you know what, Jane, I'm exactly like you. I like to eat my leftover dinner for breakfast. I eat my oats, but it's not till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when I eat my oats. But yeah.
Well,
that's great.
Yeah, and Jane is the master of sauces. So the sauces in here are crazy good.
Oh, they're so good. I've already my walnut ginger has a big stain on it already. The walnut, it's so good. Don't tell Dr. Esselstyn I ate that. But
horseradish that we love.
So delicious.
Or a good nut to eat.
Little.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I'm in the I feel like now that I've gotten a really good diagnosis, I'm in like my maintenance mode, and I'll eat a little bit of that because I feel like, okay, now I got to live the rest of my life.
Yeah, thanks for clarifying that, because some heart disease patients, they hear about like Impossible burgers and stuff.
Oh God.
And that's
you're just falling down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, stand it.
No.
One of the things that I feel, we were lucky. that when we started changing how we ate, that we were not tempted about anything in the vegan junk food world because it didn't exist.
Right.
Today, people changing how they eat are falling into that problem. I mean, they are, my husband sees as many people who say they're vegan who have problems as not, because they are just eating donuts or whatever. And, you know, you do need to be careful about, I mean, some of this vegan junk food starts out, the first ingredient or the second or third may be coconut oil. And coconut is 92% saturated fat. I mean, avoid that on all. And, you know, if you love coconut and you feel deprived, you can add a teaspoon of coconut extract to any alternative milk, and you get the coconut milk and that whole taste that you may like.
Absolutely. That's how I make my curry.
Yeah.
Okay, we have another question. What's your favorite recipe to serve a non-plant-based person or people at a dinner party?
Oh, there's so many. I think that's a really good question, because you kind of want to know your audience, and I don't want to ever like bend our values or our take on. I mean, you go to someone's house, and I'm so excited to see like what do they eat, like what do their bowls look like, what does their house look like, what's their food going to taste like. It's kind of fun. So I kind of just like to show off what I love, and I think like this is my favorite meal. I'm so glad you guys are here. You know, they're going to be like, okay, let's try it. So I don't really care like with that what they think. I want to put the love into it that I feel, and I think it's going to go over. So I have a variety that I love to do. And my mom has some that she wants to do. I think you should go first.
No, you go
your
first.
choice.
You're talking.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I love, if my husband's cooking, I love it when he makes, if it's a big group, he has this awesome Brian's chili within he does so many different iterations of it. We have one iteration in Plant Strong, one iteration in the Engine 2 cookbook, one iteration in our previous heart disease cookbook, and a new red bean chili one in this cookbook. So I just love the plant-based chilies. And also he makes this lovely, if we're having a dinner with 2 other people, maybe just 4 of us, I'll have him do his ramen bowls. There's only one picture of a man in this book, and that's my husband's arm. And he has a tattoo, and he's holding a bowl, and it's black ramen noodles, and his tattoo's got these, it's like a kind of a crow or something. So these like, anyway, it looks beautiful to me. And he makes his black ramen noodles in all these wonderful spices and miso and veggies, and it's just so delicious. So that would be my favorite. But if I'm making the dinner at our house, I would make what I love, and I love bowls because just the variety of what you can put in it. You can have thawed edamame, shredded carrots, chopped purple cabbage, chopped purple onion, Napa cabbage, kale, cherry tomatoes, on and on and on. Whatever you teriyaki tofu or savory tofu, and maybe some rice noodles or brown rice, jasmine rice. Anyway, and once I have this enormous bowl of food and they arrive, they go, ooh, look at this rainbow of amazing things. And then if you've seen on our Instagram, then we pour on the Thai peanut sauce or the lemon tahini sauce or the walnut ginger or the horseradish walnut sauce, or on and on and on, the corn sauce. There's so many different sauces we can put. The lightning dressing, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite. And then stir it together with them so they see like what a beautiful array they're getting.
The nice thing of mixing it all up is if somebody thinks, oh, I don't think I like red cabbage, they get it.
Yeah.
And they don't mind it.
Yeah. So it's all mixed in. But we have like 9 different bowls we talk about. So I would choose probably the forbidden bowl, because I love those forbidden black rice noodles that I mentioned in Brian's ramen bowl, but also in the forbidden bowl. That would be, I love the plant-based pad thai too. I'm sort of on a more Asian profile lately of food, like love. It'll shift.
And me, I like one bowl, the one thing that I can just eat without having to do. That's my perfection.
My one big bowl.
Well, I mean, something that is served in one spot, one thing. Anyway, yeah.
That's the big bowl.
And then I love And what I've always done is I have some twice baked potatoes that are in here that
Our
are
kids
a
call them open
combination
face.
of Yukon Gold and Japanese sweet potatoes that I think give it a really nice taste. And I do that for guests often with asparagus, maybe walnut sauce, salad. I mean, I also tend to have that sort of the old fashioned meal.
Those all sound amazing. I'm looking at the lightning dressing now. A clove of garlic, minced ginger, jalapeno, lime, zest of the lime, rice vinegar, soy, like tamari, maple syrup, pepper flakes. That sounds,
It is. You'll be struck. You'll be converted. And you'll never go back. I swear. I'm not like I call this lightning because I've been struck, and this is it.
and you can put it on all those things that you
You
named.
put it on greens, rice, bowls, anything,
Yeah.
everything. Love it. Love it. Love it.
That sounds gorgeous. We're getting a lot of questions, which I think it's all going to be the same answer. So I'm going to lump it together, but some people just want to cook for one. Some people want to know if these freeze well. So can you speak to that? Can you freeze these? Can you?
It depends on what. I mean, you can't really freeze cilantro, but you can freeze scones. So I don't really know. Just give it a go. Don't
Yeah, I
make
think you can-
have
I think-
recipes.
I think you can freeze almost everything.
We give a general amount of people that it could serve, but usually we eat all of what we make. The chili is a big meal though. So I just have things if you're cooking for one, and then save the next thing. I mean, everything will last a couple days.
Yeah.
I'll plant, so hopefully it won't last too long. Like the things like the cookies, those will last, freeze those will last a long time.
Or else invite somebody over when you make them.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. I always say if I have a leftovers more than 2 or 3 days in my fridge, then it wasn't a good recipe because I will eat it. If it's still in the fridge, it never makes it to the freezer at my house because I have a pretty hearty appetite. And that's what I like about eating this way too. You can get your fill.
Yeah, and
Good.
I say this, that one of the things in our cookbook is we don't have calories and we don't have serving portions on purpose. People often complain, but when you're eating plant-based, we feel that you should be able to eat until you're comfortably full. Now, obviously, for someone who is seriously overweight, then they need to put the brakes on the breads.
The 44 desserts.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But for most people, that is one of the reasons why plant-based eating can be so successful, because it isn't restrictive.
Yeah, that's what I love about it. I feel, a lot of like what you talked about, Jane, about, feeling the way I felt about my body. And I feel I don't have that chatter anymore. It's gone just because, I don't know, when you eat this way, when you're eating plants, you feel healthy. It just changes everything in your life for the better. And it does take away that self-talk. It feels like it eliminates that. I don't know. I love it. Okay, here's a question. I'm 61 and adopted my 5-year-old foster daughter. She eats more fruits and vegetables than she used to, but I can't get her to eat totally plant-based. She sticks out her tongue to beans and sweet potatoes, for example. Any suggestions?
Keep going. Just keep trying.
I do have one little story. Our Flynn, our 27-year-old granddaughter, now was 3. This is a long time ago, and she was with us just before Christmas, a little time. And you know how Brussels sprouts grow on a stem? Stalk. I got a big stalk of Brussels sprouts, and we cut them off. She took a knife and cut the ends. I cooked them, strained them, put them in a bowl, put it on the floor. We sat down together, and she looked at me and she said, I don't eat those. I said, that's okay. Just try a few leaves. Well, Flynn must have eaten 20 Brussels sprouts. I mean, crazy. And it turns out that when you are 3 and you're in preschool, you take a treat on your birthday. And her birthday was the 27th of December. And Flynn took Brussels sprouts as her treat to preschool. which is just to say, an answer to that is, if kids are involved in the cooking, that helps. If they grow it, that's even better. And if they keep being exposed to it. Jane, for instance, loves artichokes, and our grandchildren always came over to our house for their birthdays, and for Jane's birthday. And I always
when we would serve artichokes. Yeah.
And I always served artichokes on Jane's birthday, and they ate them, but not, I mean, they looked at them, but didn't love them. And then I couldn't believe it one year when Cryle, Jane's oldest daughter, ordered artichokes for her birthday.
When Anne asked her for her menu request.
So I just keep exposing them. And if they like broccoli, give them broccoli. That's what Jane's children grew up on. Every night they had broccoli, and they started out, believe it or not, only eating the top of the head of the broccoli, and the stems would be left. I love going for dinner because I love the stems. I got all the leftover stems. Now they eat the whole broccoli.
Yeah. Your 5-year-old, the question about, I think just keep exposing your daughter to what you're eating. And if you can make it kind of like I hate to call it Chipotle, but like we would have brown rice, black beans, mango salsa, corn salsa, broccoli, spinach, all these fixins at home. And my husband and I would go through, and we would put everything in our bowl. And then we had one kid who would do exactly what we did because she liked to do what we did. And we had one kid who went from rice to tamari, and he'd sit down, and one kid would just have rice, but they were all eating that meal. And now our kids are now bringing more varieties of things to the buffet, if you will. And it just takes time, but keep exposing them. And, one day they might try a bite of juicy mango, and then the mango salsa, which is a weird combination of onions and mangoes and, lime and stuff, but it's amazing when they suddenly are ready. A 5-year-old palate is not necessarily ready. Some are, some aren't. And it doesn't taste good to them, but keep exposing them to it.
And, don't bring in things you don't want them to eat.
Yeah. Don't bring in Pop-Tarts and
just
whatever.
Just avoid that temptation. But, instead of giving her, you might try mashing the potatoes, French frying the potatoes, and just baking them in the oven. I mean, you can, try things like that they will like. I mean, I guarantee potatoes baked in the oven like French fry shape. Awesome. How can you not love that?
Or
So
air fryer or toaster or
Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's harder.
That's a question.
I think it's harder because it didn't start off, said it's her foster child, so it wasn't, so it's going to be a little bit of a slog, but I agree, just keep going. And maybe even talk about, the animals. That's something that maybe a 5-year-old could understand. You're making a face, Jane, like, I don't know.
No, I get it. And it's so sad because they read these books about bunnies and dogs and giraffes and cows, and then they're eating them. And it's
right.
It's a really confusing narrative. And I don't know if having kids feeling shame and guilt and then thinking their friends are mean is the best way to go.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's my channel. My kids are raised plant-based, but I think the kids will get there because our kids all got there. I mean, they all did fine. They all are making great students and athletes and kind people. But I don't like to use other tactics necessarily.
Okay, you're right. Okay. Question is, we would like to eat more dark leafy greens. However, they're not always available in organic form. Is it okay to consume non-organic green veggies, and what's the best way to clean them?
We eat them out of our garden. We think is organic. I mean, I don't do anything. We eat out of our garden. We eat out of the organic section. We eat out of the conventional section. We eat sometimes at restaurants, goodness knows where that's come from. So we don't really clean our vegetables out of our garden, I think, at all, unless it's been raining and there's mud everywhere. And we're not the best people to ask because we're not good about cleaning.
No, what I would say is,
we're not.
It's better to eat non-organic than not to eat them. And
not at all.
And I would just, I have no suggestion as for better cleaning, because I think I mean, I know this fact that if you buy beans salted in a can, you can rinse them and rinse them, and you get about 40% of the salt out of the beans, sodium.
But they're talking
And no, and I would say similarly with vegetables, if you can wash and wash and wash, you may not get everything out of that, but how much, I mean, you're better off eating a little of whatever than not
eating the greens.
eating things.
And Robin Shutkin, who's amazing, she's the fairy godmother of the microbiome. She just says, get your dirt, sweat, and veg on. You've got to get dirt's okay. Like, I mean, obviously some dirt's not, but like she made us feel much better about the fact that some of our veggies are maybe dirty. The good kind of dirt.
I think that's healthy. Do you have any recommendations for gaining weight? Just eat more?
I mean, I think the tendency for especially women is salads. And so when you take the oil out, you don't have any calories hardly left. And I think just extra servings, especially going to maybe more grains, more beans where the higher calories are. Jane?
Yeah, I would, this is the kind of question that is almost clinical, because if someone's needing to gain weight, if they want to just gain muscle mass, you need to be using your muscles and you need to eat more. If you want to just gain more weight to gain more weight, like you want to get heavier and just all around generally. I mean, people often say like, oh, my father, he's 92, but he's losing so much weight. We want him to gain weight. Well, he's immobile. Do you want him to get a belly? Like, if that's his size and that's, this is what he can eat. He has no appetite. Like, it's okay that he's a really thin older person. But if someone needs to gain weight because they are, I don't know, a competitive volleyball player, I'm making this up, eat more oatmeal in the morning and add a little bit of like soy milk, something that has some calories to it, to your oatmeal. I, make it with water because I'm not looking for more. Or if you're having lunch, have, 2 pieces of bread on your sandwich, not necessarily an open face sandwich. Just get more like calorically dense stuff going in your body. And if you don't have heart disease, add avocados, have some nuts in your sauces for sure. And eat a really, good dinner and try to have some snacks that have those intense, beans and grains and more calories in them.
And before you go to bed, you might have a bowl of cereal, oats, and
and
maybe oat milk. I mean, that's got a lot of calories.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, well, I'm not going to keep you too much longer. We're going to do one last question. What do you use for salt flavoring?
Well,
I use vinegars often. I try and avoid.
What do we use tamari? Well, I use tamari to make sauces, but we're not trying to mimic salt all the time. We don't actually, become kind of salt.
I think the question is, how do you make something tasty without adding salt, right?
I think that's right.
How do you mimic salt?
No, how do you make something needs salt? It's bland. What do you add? Tamari. I love the balsamic vinegars.
Oh, there's so many amazing millions of spices out there that have nothing to do with salt. And salt has really hijacked our tongue. And because we need it. We need salt for our body to function properly, like from, our cells and our muscles and our thyroid. Everything needs to have some salt, some sodium in there. But there are other flavors out there that will win you over. And some of these, like your lemon pepper,
lemon
salt.
Pepper is great.
Mixes, Mrs. Dash has a bunch of different stuff. There's so many different blends out there too, depending on what you love. But I use tamari I don't use salt. We always say, like, if you need to add salt, it's an option. Like, we always say it's an option because we want people to eat this food. And if it's the lack of salt that's making them not eat it, like, go ahead and put a little salt on top before it hits your tongue. Don't tuck it in, bake it in, stir it in and hide it. Put it there on top so your tongue goes, oh, okay.
Well, I make a lot of soup, and oftentimes the soup just needs something. I find 2 things make a difference. One is some miso, and I get the lowest sodium miso out there, and that that's good, and it's good for you. And secondly, I use balsamic vinegar, and I might use 6 tablespoons of it in a soup sometimes. I mean, it's just surprising how it does add a good taste to me.
That sounds good. That's it. Well, that's wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing those good tips. You guys is there anything else you want to share from the book, or just share with us? I put the links in there of how to buy the book and
answer my phone.
No, thank you so much for the time and the thoughtful questions. And we love that everyone's being so excited about this book, and it's been wonderful to be with the PBNSG.
Thanks for watching and for being a part of the PBNSG community. If you found this video helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for even more plant-based insights, expert interviews, and delicious recipes.